All right, welcome back to CHAS and Friends. This is episode 15, and I am joined by the amazing Kayla from Kay's Hidden Shelf. And glad you could all join us. We've got I Anonymous with us and Scott from the Bald Booktuber. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you guys. I've been very excited to get Kayla on the channel. We've been talking about this for a little while and finally made it happen. So I'll go ahead and let Kayla introduce herself and a little bit about her channel, and then you guys know the drill. We just kind of chatted up.
Yeah, first, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited. My name is Kayla, or Kay. I'm from Kay's Hidden Shelf. I read a lot of fantasy, some sci-fi. I read and talk about books, basically. If you like to hear me blather about books, stop on by. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, and I highly recommend you guys go subscribe to Kayla. You do a lot of self published too, which
Yeah,
is really cool.
that was actually part of my 2022 reading goals.
Hmm.
It's like, I'm going to read more of this. And then I had started by reading maybe 1 or 2 here and there, and then I started the channel, and it just exploded into
Hmm.
something that was not entirely planned, but I'm loving it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah, well, there's a lot of great self-published stuff out there. I wanted to read more self-published this year, and I read a few, but not as many as I wanted to. So next year, I'm hoping to get in more self-pub.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a
Mhm.
lot of really good ones out there. I mean, if you don't know where to look for, where to start in self-pub, it can be tricky. It's like a needle in a haystack, right? But I
Yeah,
feel like it's the same with traditionally published books too. It's hard to find those really good ones.
yeah, it is. Yeah, they are definitely hard to find. It's interesting. There's the traditionally published books. Uh, there's self-published books, and then kind of the more there's kind of the weird in between where you've got the really popular self-published books, like you hear a lot about the Kings of Ash and Sand trilogy by
Mhm.
I can't remember his name now, but
Daniel Abraham, I think, is
no,
it,
it's
or no?
uh, yeah, it's a
Mm,
self-published book, the Ash and Sand trilogy. I
this is gonna bug me now.
Oh yeah, it's gonna bug me too. Ash and Sand. Oh yeah, Kings of Paradise by Richard Nell.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
Richard Nell, that's I had
yeah,
the cover, just not the author.
yeah, yeah. Richard Nell, Rob J. Hayes,
Yeah.
yeah, Dirk Ashton, Michael Fletcher, some of the big, more popular self-published authors.
Yeah.
So I had wanted to start Ash and Sand this year, and I had it on my elective list, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
Well, there's still time in the year, so hopefully you can
Yeah,
you can start it if you want, but I mean, if you don't, there's next year.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So do most people call you Kay, or do how did that come about with putting Kay on your channel as opposed to
Yeah.
Kayla?
So that's kind of confusing, and that's totally on me. I usually, in my day-to-day life, I go by Kayla, but when I was searching for a BookTube channel name, there were
Uh-huh.
so many Kaylas,
Oh,
and
interesting. Okay.
I didn't wanna get lost in that, and when I searched just hidden shelf, I got a whole bunch of DIY tutorials. So I decided to go with the short form K, and it stuck. Some people call me
Okay.
Kay, some people call me Kayla. Doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was more of like I just didn't wanna get lost with all the Kaylas and no one be able to find my channel when I was searching and testing names.
Yeah, well, that was a very smart SEO move.
I did not know that at the time.
Yeah. Well, you stumbled onto it then. I think that was a really smart move. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been watching BookTube for years, and I've also run into the trouble Alan's channel, the Library of Alexandria,
Hmm.
where
Yeah.
he's even said this, you cannot search his channel name. You have to search Alan's library because Alexandria doesn't come up.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I subscribe to his channel, but sometimes I want to be really quick, so I'll do a search for it, and
Mm.
I'm like, "Oh, no." So then I go
Yeah.
to my subscription list and scroll down and click on his channel that way, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I wonder why it won't pop up. That's weird.
Yeah, it seems to prioritize the, like, history of the library of Alexandria rather than Alan, so I think it's just that quirk with the, search functions, right?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I
I
learned my lesson.
well, and I hope he doesn't change his name because the name of his
Mm.
channel is perfect, and
Yeah.
it's so unique, just like Alan, and yeah, I love it.
Exactly, YouTube should change. They need to fix that.
Exactly, they sure do. Drew is here. Hello, Drew. Glad to have you. And I
Hello.
totally understand putting stuff on in the background while you work. I have to do
Yes.
that myself sometimes.
Yep.
uh,
Hello.
Hard Luck Hank is another big self-published series. I have not heard of
Okay.
that one.
No, I don't think I've heard of that either. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to reading his second book.
Yeah, Baden Hill?
Yeah, yeah, it's funny because um I just got done reading Excalibur, which is the final book in the Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell.
Oh, neat. How was it?
And oh, it was really, really good. That's a great series. I wasn't so big on the Winter King. It was just okay. But then
Right.
Enemy of God and Excalibur were brilliant, just
Made it
absolutely
worth it.
brilliant. And the Battle of Meneth-Baden does come up in Excalibur. So
Oh.
I'm looking forward to reading the Anonymous's take on Baden Hill now that I've just come off of that one. So
You got a theme going.
right, I've got a theme, and eventually I want to reread Mary Stewart's Arthur books. I haven't read those, and
Oh,
it's been
wow.
3 decades at least since I've read those books.
Oh, okay. So here's a question for you then, Chaz. How well versed would you say you are in those legends and lores, like the Arthurian legends?
I'd say intermediate.
Okay.
I'm not super well versed in it, but I know the characters quite well, and I know several of the variations on the myth.
Right.
Um, but then there's some books I haven't read yet. I haven't read La Morte d'Arthur. I
Mm.
have not read. Excuse me. I have not read The Once and Future King.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, I do have it on my Kindle. I had to get it for my daughter so she could read it for school, but
Right.
I have not read it yet. So there's several uh, Arthur tales that I haven't read. I have not read Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, which I
Right.
do want to read eventually. I'm hoping to maybe get a hold of J.R.R. Tolkien's uh,
Yeah.
translation of that. So
Oh, he translated it?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
he has a translation of his own from the
Ooh.
original Anglo-Saxon. So
Oh, I'm gonna be hunting that down after this.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So um, let's see. I didn't like how he did Baden Hill. Okay, all right, got it. There should have been horses. Neither one is worth reading in full. I'm guessing he means La Morte d'Arthur and Once and Future King aren't
Right.
worth reading in full. Okay. History of the Kings is good. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Okay. Cool.
Hmm,
King Arthur Fall. Right. Oh, okay.
good to know.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that interesting. Um, yeah, one of the chapters in Excalibur, or the final chapter, actually is titled "The Last Enchantment," which I'm like, that's funny because that's the name of the final book in Mary Stuart's trilogy,
Oh,
uh, "The
neat.
Last Enchantment." So I don't know if that was an intentional Easter egg that he threw in there into his book or not. But
Yeah,
uh,
if only you could ask, eh?
yeah, exactly. Tolkien's unfinished Arthur story. Oh, okay. So that's what the Fall of Arthur is, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Okay. How about you, Kayla? Have you read any Arthur stuff?
Nowhere near as much as you. I read The Mists of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley,
Oh,
I think is her name.
yeah. I've been wanting to
I
read
read
that
that
one.
Yeah, I read that way back, so I don't quote my memory on any part of it. I should probably reread that, but mostly from, shows and, like, even kids shows and stuff growing up, I watched a lot of that. I don't know if anyone would remember, but I think it was Disney did a Gargoyles TV show back in the '90s,
I
and it had
remember
a
that
lot
one.
of that. Yeah,
Okay.
so
Okay.
that's
I
kinda what.
I don't remember anything about it, but I know of it.
Yeah, yeah, they mixed a lot of that TV series with the whole storyline of Arthur and, you see Avalon and they take you there and everything. You see Titania and all of that throughout the TV show, so that kind of got me
Nice.
started young, and then from there, yeah. But
Yeah.
aside from that, it's mostly TV,
Yeah, that makes
unfortunately.
sense. I there's a show that I started watching way back in the day, and the production quality wasn't that great, and it kind of turned me off. It was the Merlin
Mm.
TV series,
Oh, I
but
remember that one.
I heard it got better, so I might try it again sometime. I saw Sword in the Stone, of course, the
Yeah.
classic Disney movie. Um, and Excalibur is still one of my favorite movies from the 80s.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a really great sword and sorcery, slash 'em up, Arthur tale.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um, First Night with Richard Gere and Sean Connery. Have you seen that one?
Oh, it sounds familiar. My memory is terrible. If I saw the cover, I'd probably say, hold on, let me.
Yeah, yeah. Sean Connery played King Arthur, and Richard Gere was Lancelot. Um,
Oh, yes, yeah, I remember that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
I liked it. It wasn't one of the better Arthur movies, but I enjoyed it. So yeah,
I mean,
there's quite a few good ones out there, but I have wanted to read the Avalon series, so I'll probably try and get to that eventually. That and T.A. Barron's Merlin series.
oh,
I forgot the actual name of the series. Maybe it is the
okay.
Merlin series, but I've heard T.A. Barron is really, really good. So,
Oh, good to know.
and he's written like, I think there's 10 books in the series, maybe, or something like that. I think it's more of a
Yeah.
YA series, although I could be wrong.
Right, okay. I mean, YA, so long as the characters and everything is, you know, done well
Hmm.
enough that it can translate to an adult or, if you enjoy YA as an adult, by all means, it
Yeah,
works out.
absolutely. It's funny how the lines blur so much because I'm reading Strange the Dreamer right now,
Oh, okay.
and technically I've always heard it billed as YA, but it doesn't read like what you would expect a YA book to read like to me.
Yeah,
It feels very adult
okay.
uh, for the type of story it is. So I'm
Not
enjoying it
trope
so far.
heavy.
No,
Nice.
it's very different in a
Okay.
good way. Um, yeah, it's very very different.
Yeah, that's excellent. I mean, I those to me are kind of hidden gems when you can find a YA book that doesn't lean into all of the heavy tropes to capture, you know, just that audience. If you can
Hmm.
blur the line, all the better.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I Anonymous says definitely YA. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I know it's always put in that category, but I don't know. It gets a lot of love on BookTube. There's a
Oh,
lot
okay.
of people that really love Strange the Dreamer, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I've got to finally read it.
Yes, that booktube pressure finally got to you.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen it around a lot, and I'm just like, I can't justify fitting it in right now."
Yeah.
There's so many other books.
Do you tend to go with the popular titles? Like what's do you tend to read a lot of what's popular on BookTube, or do you just kind of do your
Uh,
own thing?
Probably okay, so in self-published, probably, like, the equivalent of the popular books,
Uh-huh.
um, but traditionally published books, probably. I mean, I haven't touched a traditionally published book in a while.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think before I started BookTube, definitely, I followed a lot more of the BookTube popular stuff because that was all I watched, and when you saw it everywhere, you're like, "Well, that's it.
Yeah.
I gotta read that." And now I feel like, since starting a channel, it's like, "Okay, well, I've agreed to do this, I've agreed to do that, I've agreed to participate in this," and a lot of it is priority reads now.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, self-published, definitely more the, seemingly popular ones. I mean, I see them everywhere, so
Mhm.
yeah.
That's cool. Have you had what's your experience been with reading the books that really get heavily hyped?
Oh, those ones I've started to avoid for the reason that they just I hype trains, those books mostly fall flat for me.
Yeah.
I can't like the, which one was it? She Who Became the Sun? When
Okay,
that
yeah,
one
I've
came
been
out?
hearing about that one.
Yeah, it came out, it was all hyped, and I still have not read it. It's just sitting on my shelf, and I got a used copy just in case because my heart has been broken too many times where I'm told it's fantastic, you're gonna love every bit of it, and I'm like, "Well, am I?" Because, I mean, I know there's, what is it? Song of Achilles?
Yeah. Mhm.
That one has a lot of love, and there is a lot to love with it, but I didn't walk away feeling like I had to rave about it, that I needed to
Mhm.
get the hype train going. I was like, "Oh, well, it was good, but not I don't wanna sing to the mountains about it, and now I'm kinda disappointed."
Yeah.
Have you had that, or are you, like, all on the other side with the hype?
I have had that. I don't always do the everything that's really popular on BookTube, but there have been occasions where I have done, and I've had my heart broken a lot of times as well. Um, that's one reason I'm trying to wait until the hype kind of dies off for Fairy Tale by Stephen King. Even though I really do want to read it, I'm like, I'm just gonna hold off.
Yeah, I've already heard a few people who have been a little disappointed and who
Yeah,
were really eager to read it too, so I don't blame
yeah.
you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna let that one sit a little while, but that happened to me with Rage of Dragons. It happened to me with Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe, uh,
Oh, jeez.
the Shadow and Claw,
Yep.
um, and it's happened to me with a few others, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna hold off on that and just kind of read what I want to read, with a few
Yeah.
exceptions, but
Yeah, that's essentially the route I've started taking. When I see hype
mhm,
for something, I'm like, "Okay, I'll put that on my I will read that whenever I want to read that, if I get to it."
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it. There've been a few exceptions, like uh, the Greenbone Saga was heavily hyped last year, especially with the release of Jade Legacy coming up last November, and then and I've absolutely loved the Greenbone Saga.
Oh, good.
I'm reading
Yeah.
Jade Legacy right now as well, and it's worth I mean, it was probably still overhyped,
Mm.
but it's still a very, very good series. So,
Yeah, okay.
I'm very happy with it, but
Yeah, I read Jade City before starting my channel, and I wasn't too keen on it.
Mhm.
personally. I don't, and I still haven't felt the need to continue. And I think that's more of, I'm not a huge fan of the whole gang storyline, like the family
Okay.
business kind of thing.
Exactly.
That part doesn't really, work for me a lot of the time. And this one was just like, okay, I've kind of seen these tropes
Mhm.
and situations before. It's nothing really fancy, but I hear it gets better. So I don't know. I have to change my opinion, try again.
You know what? I don't know that you do.
Mm,
If that plot line doesn't really, if that kind of world really doesn't appeal to you,
mm.
it it's a great series, but it's still all about the family business and the mob and everything like that. So, if
Yeah.
that's not your thing, that's not really going to change in
Okay.
the other two books. So,
Yeah.
and
All
I
right.
totally respect that it is not for everyone. So,
Yeah.
um, I I I enjoy stories like that to a point. One of my favorite movies, still to this day, is The Untouchables,
Right.
with Robert De Niro, and but then I still have never watched The Sopranos. I've never watched the
Yeah.
Godfather movies. I
Yep.
know about them, but I've never. It's not high on my priority list.
Yeah.
So, but the story is fun for me because I enjoy the gangster feel. So,
Yeah. I like the magic system that they went for.
hmm,
Um, but yeah, the mob stuff, I was like, all right, yeah, I kind of saw that coming because there's only so many ways you can do the family business with these storylines in some ways, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Josh says, "I'm glad I didn't know Strange the Dreamer was YA, or I might have skipped it." Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that. I'm not opposed to reading YA, but I don't make it a priority. So
Yeah.
I heard enough people rave about Strange the Dreamer and saying specifically that it wasn't YA like it was labeled, and so that's why I went ahead with it. But I'm not opposed to reading YA. I do want to
Mm.
reread the Percy Jackson stories
Mhm.
at some point. I've only read the first two books, so I figured at some point I should reread those and then finish the series. I'm always up for a Harry Potter reread at some point. So,
Absolutely. Stephen Fry reading that story over and over again.
oh yeah, does he do the audiobooks?
I think so, yeah. He does it, and then there's one other one, but yeah, Stephen Fry reads
I
the audiobooks.
love Stephen Fry.
Yep.
Absolute, like, on my wish list, I have the audiobook for Sherlock Holmes read by him.
Yes.
And oh yeah, yeah. I love Stephen Fry. He's got such a smooth voice. Yeah,
Yep.
I would read that.
Yeah. There you go. Run, run, don't
Yeah,
walk.
yeah. I've got a few credits that I've racked up on Audible. I'll have to go and get some of the Harry Potter audiobooks.
Nice, cash in.
Yeah, right.
Ah,
Hype trains with self-published are a huge problem. Yeah,
mm,
yeah, I can see that.
yeah,
I can
I
see that.
I very much strive to not hype books. I mean, I'll say I love it and I'll say why I
Mhm.
love it, but I don't like doing gush reviews.
Mm.
Um, just because I feel like I might let people down, you know? What if they
Yeah.
don't like it?
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
It's hard for me not to gush when I really like a book, but I try and be a little bit more reserved about my gushing, but it doesn't
Yeah.
always work.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you have to have personality into it and
Yeah.
show how you felt about it, but I don't know, I just feel like if I gush too much, I'm gonna let some some people down if they try it, and then I'm gonna get some angry emails.
Right.
"You
Yeah, what were
promised."
you doing? Scott says Fairy Tale was
Mm.
good. I was expecting great. Yeah, yeah, and
Mhm.
that's what the hype has really been. Oh, it's gonna be fantastic, and
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll see. I'll get to it eventually.
Just lower your expectations, and then
Mhm.
when you go in, it will be great.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's some that you just know that they'll be great. Like it's very rare for me to read a book of Brandon Sanderson's that isn't. They're not all spectacular, but they're all
Mhm.
pretty great in
Yeah.
my experience. So,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, for the ones that I've read, like, I've enjoyed all of them. I
hmm
think the only one I struggled with a bit was Elantris,
hmm
but even still, I would reread that because it was
hmm
great.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people. There's some people out there that really hate Elantris. I'm like, why?
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, from one perspective, I get it. When I read it, I wasn't expecting it to be as politically heavy as it was with that
Yeah.
slow burn in there. So I think maybe that's what caught people. I
hmm
don't know.
Yeah, could be. I'm not sure. Last writing group is like, no, you need honest review. Yeah, yep, absolutely. Honest
Yeah.
reviews are where it's at.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Just
yeah,
tell it like it
that's
is.
yeah, something no one trusts legit reviews. And there is a lot of that, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, if people if it always tends to skew super positive, you kind of got to wonder, okay, what's going on here? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
This person loves everything they've
right.
read. And they're all review requests.
Right?
Bribes? Yeah.
Have you like when you first started doing like the reading websites like Goodreads and stuff like
Mm.
that, I don't like for me until I started really finding my groove, like way back in the day before I was on BookTube and stuff. Like a lot of times I would give 4 or 5 stars. I very rarely gave lower than that. But then,
Yeah.
what's your experience been with that?
Well, when I initially started using it, it was more to just track the books that I
Hmm
wanted to read. I didn't even really mark them as read at the time because this was like, think over a decade ago when
hmm
I used to go to the bookstore with a notepad and a pen and like write down the names and the authors of the books that I wanted to read. So that little handy app was more of a keep track of this in a neat way until I
Yeah.
started realizing that I could rate them, and I was like, "Does my opinion really matter?" It was a bit of a slow slog. I think over the last 3 to 4 years is when I actually started rating and leaving written reviews, and even then, it was like, "This was great. I loved it." You know?
Yeah.
Learning to write a review was, a whole other ballpark.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. It's very rare for me to write a review on Goodreads.
Oh, yeah?
I do sometimes, especially
Okay.
for self-published books that I read because I know that's very important. Whereas traditionally published books, I typically don't do a written review.
Yeah.
I I just do it on my YouTube channel. But
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to talk about it, but,
Mhm.
like, I don't even think I've reviewed or no, I haven't. I haven't reviewed or rated Pyramids yet by Terry Pratchett, and I don't know that I want to yet because 'cause I'm not quite sure where I fall on that scale, but, yeah, I get that. You don't necessarily and, I mean, with BookTube, everything's online, you know?
Mhm.
You might not necessarily want everything you've read available to everyone in the world. You might wanna keep some things private too, so it's
Mhm.
understandable.
Yeah, there's a few books that I read that I keep private for that reason too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And excuse me. Um yeah, pyramids. I don't know about you. Like me personally, I don't rate books if I DNF them, and I DNF
Mhm.
that one. So I'm like, yeah, I take it off my list. But
Yeah, see, I don't rate DNFs either. I don't think
yeah,
that makes sense, but I did
yeah,
finish this, and I still wish I DNF'd it, so I'm kind of in the moral loophole of do I actually rate it because I finished it, or do I not rate it because I wish I DNF'd it?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there have been times that's happened to me too, and Yeah, I knew that I would get to the end of it and wish I DNF'd it, so I'm like, "I'm just gonna DNF it."
Yep, you took the right road. I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I know some of the group did like it.
Yeah, and Terry Pratchett is a great writer.
Mhm.
I've thoroughly enjoyed other Discworld books, and I fully intend to read more.
Yeah.
Just Pyramids didn't work for me, and from what I've heard people say, the it always seems to be that way with standalones from Terry
Okay.
Pratchett.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
yeah,
I kinda got that warning before going into this, knowing that it probably wasn't gonna be his best work,
mhm.
with the standalones too. It seems like his character work and world building is better in the series.
Right. Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems to be for sure. Have you read The Hogfather?
No, actually, Pyramids was my first entry.
Oh, The
So
Hogfather is so great. That's
is
a
it?
that's a good Christmas read.
Oh,
That's a
okay.
yeah, that, because he's basically the Discworld version of Santa Claus.
Oh, okay,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna read that at Christmas then.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good, and there's an adaptation of it too that is supposed to be really good. So,
Oh, interesting.
um, yeah,
Okay.
apparently in the adaptation, they have Charles Dance playing, um, uh, not Vimes. Vimes is I don't know if you've encountered Vimes yet or not. So,
No, because in Pyramids, I don't think they yeah,
yeah. So if you
yeah,
haven't read any
yeah.
of the City Watch series, I won't say anything. I won't
Okay.
spoil it for you. But anyway, yeah. But I'll watch anything with Charles Dance. He's an amazing actor. So,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, he played Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones, and he's also in the
Oh, right.
Sandman series. He plays um, the guy, the sorcerer right at the very beginning of the Sandman series.
Oh, okay,
So
interesting.
yeah, he's really great.
Yeah.
Going Postal is better. Okay, the show or well, maybe both. The show,
Mm.
because I heard they made an adaptation of Going Postal as well.
Okay. See, this is the thing with Discworld that I had tried to start this back last year. So last
Mhm.
summer, I wanted to start in the Discworld series, and it took until August of this year to actually start, and it was a buddy read because every time I asked, "Hey, which one should I start with?" I was bombarded with messages being like, "You should start here. No, here, over here. No, here."
Oh, I bet.
And I was just like, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know where to even start." So this was kind of like, I'm just starting and I don't care where to start. I don't care if someone gets mad at me for starting here. I just need to
Right.
start.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've heard that a lot, and Alan has a really good breakdown on the
Mm.
Discworld series in general and the
Yeah,
different sub stories and everything. So
I've
that's
watched
kind of
that
what
too.
that's kind of where I
Yeah,
went to get an idea, and I ended up starting with the guards and was
yeah.
so happy I did. But I've heard that the death books are a great place to start as well.
See, this is the thing, is like everyone's, "Yeah, this is a great place to start. This is a great place to start." So, I mean,
Right.
I don't doubt it, but there's too many choices.
There are, yeah, 40 plus books. It's kind
Yeah.
of mind boggling.
Yeah. Originally, I thought I'd go, publication order just to
Mhm.
simplify it, and then everyone was very against that.
Yep.
Yeah.
My very first attempt at reading the Discworld, I started with Color of Magic, and that was the worst place I could have ever started. Not that it's bad, it's just I think I would appreciate it more, having read more of the series. So I'll probably go
Mm,
back and reread Color of Magic at some point, but it was not yeah, it was
yeah.
not the greatest.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. I didn't he start it kind of as a joke anyway?
He
What
did,
it yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's understandable.
yeah, and yeah, he wrote the first 3 books without really any plans to go forward with it, and then, Neil Gaiman talked him into, fleshing it out more, and Neil Gaiman specifically wanted to read more about death. So
Right, okay.
yeah, so
Nice.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, interesting that if he was starting it with that kind of intention, one person being like, "Hey, more,"
Yeah,
got him to do 40 books.
yeah, yeah, pretty amazing. And I guess he's written stuff outside the disc world too, but I haven't read
Mhm.
any of it.
Yeah, I've heard that too, but, Discworld is the pretty much the only thing you really hear about for him.
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah, I think I read, an interview that he had done as well, where he didn't consider himself a fantasy writer,
Hmm.
and, it's just like, well, I kinda get that, but at the same time, you wrote a lot of fantasy books. Yeah, it's a label you're gonna get stuck with, unfortunately, even if you don't agree with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he considered himself more of a satirist and social commentator, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and it's obvious because yeah, there's so much of that in Discworld.
Yeah, I noticed quite a bit of that in pyramids.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Uh, yeah.
What have been some of your favorite books prior to starting BookTube?
Oh, right before starting BookTube, I started the Winter Night trilogy,
Oh,
and that
yes,
was phenomenal.
it is, isn't
Um,
it?
it is. I'm gonna read it again this winter, even though I
Oh
just
yeah,
read it last winter. Um, 'Cause I just feel like there's so much you can break down from it,
yes.
and, how the author captured the culture and the setting and everything was just beautiful.
Hmm.
Um, Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn Era 1,
Hmm.
that was another one that was great. Always trying to remember these books off the top of your head is always tricky.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so many books, and, I guess, yeah, those are the 2 big ones that pop out right before BookTube. Um, yeah, how about you? Did you have any particular ones that stood out for you before starting?
Oh wow, there were so many. Um, the biggest ones being, I think, Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
I didn't even read that until I was in my late 20s,
Yeah,
early 30s before I read Lord of the Rings,
yeah,
and then I read Ocean at the End of the Lane just prior to starting my channel. So those
right.
are definitely some standouts for me. But yeah, there's so many. I've always been a big reader, so.
Yeah,
The Shannara books are a favorite of mine as well by Terry Brooks.
yeah, I've heard good
So,
things about those.
mhm,
Yeah, when I started reading, it wasn't a whole lot of I didn't have access to a whole lot of the classic fantasy stuff. It
mhm,
was more the what was on your scholastic bookshelf at the book fair kind of
yeah,
thing, and they didn't always have those, they had the new and upcoming people.
right.
Um, yeah, I guess another one actually would be I started reading Adrian Tchaikovsky
Okay.
before, starting BookTube, and I started with I think which one did I start with? I
Is he
started
Children of Time? Is he the
yes.
one who wrote Children of Time? Yeah.
Yeah, he did I'm trying to remember the name of it now. Alan started a buddy read for the series that he wrote, Gold of the Wasp, Black and Gold? Was it?
Yeah.
Anyway, that was really weird, but really cool, um, 'cause it's basically an alternate reality where humans evolved from insects as opposed to apes, so they're,
Oh,
like,
interesting.
part insect, part humanoid. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Um, and then The Expert Systems Brother, which is a sci-fi where the humans basically, they are struggling to survive on this planet, or one human is, and everyone else is harmonious with the planet. It's a whole mystery of going back hundreds of years trying to figure out why. So it's kind of like a
Oh, wow.
backwards, how did humanity survive the planet?
Yeah, that sounds really fascinating. It sounds like something I would enjoy.
Yeah, it's nice and short too. I think it's like snuck right in here. It's nice and
Oh, that is short.
fun read.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that one was really cool as well. He just has really interesting world building, I find.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
have to check him out. I hear a lot of good things about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi,
Theo
Theo.
says hello. How's it going? Good to see you. Oh yeah, absolutely. Winter
Yeah.
Night is a phenomenal series.
Yeah.
Shannara as well. Yep. Hi, Kaiju.
Hi.
Glad to see you.
Um,
You mentioned Mistborn. So you
mm,
finished the first trilogy.
I did, yeah.
What did you
Um,
think?
Definitely a Sanderlanche. That's,
Yeah.
definitely he's deserved that term, I think. I enjoyed it actually. I really liked it. It was what really sparked me to read more, I
Yeah.
found. After I noticed, because I started tracking on Goodreads, I noticed that I had actually started reading more per year after that trilogy.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, did you read it?
I did. Yeah, I
Yeah.
read the first trilogy. I have not read Era 2 yet,
Yes. Okay.
although I do
Yeah.
want to.
Same.
But now that the final book in Era 2 is coming out in October, I'll probably pick it up eventually. And
Yeah.
I'm not um, I'm not really into like buddy cop western style flintlock fantasy, which I hear that's what it's very reminiscent of. So we'll see. I'll give it a shot. But
Yeah.
I did enjoy the first trilogy quite a bit.
Yeah.
Um,
That's good.
although the ending really threw me.
Yep. Was
I
not
was like,
expecting
"Come on, I want Vin." No.
it. You don't get what you want in a Sanderlanche.
Right? Exactly. Yep, we get what he wants. Yeah.
Yeah. And 5 books after the fact.
And fight yeah, exactly. Long, but I
Um,
liked it as well for
yeah.
yeah, for Mistborn. Yeah, definitely good. Have you read any of the short stories attached to it?
No, because I'm the kind of person with for whatever reason with Sanderson where I'm very careful to not spoil things for other
Yes.
storylines. And so I know there's guides, but I'm so paranoid about spoiling something for something else in one of the other series he's done in the Cosmere. So I'm
Mhm.
slowly making my way through the other books before I jump into that. Though I did read The Emperor's Soul. That was actually
Okay.
my first Sanderson book.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I liked The Emperor's Soul a lot. That one was
Yeah.
really good. I've read all of the short stories except the ones attached to Mistborn.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're all quite good. There's a short story for Elantris. There's
Yes.
uh Shadows for Silence and the Forests of Hell is pretty good.
Okay.
I have the Arcanum Unbounded,
Yes.
the one volume collection, and it's really good because on the Mistborn ones, it will tell you don't read this if you haven't read such and such. So,
Okay. Okay.
but
Yeah.
there are some of the Mistborn short stories that you can go ahead and read if you read the first trilogy, just not all of
Okay.
them.
I might have to do that then because you got me curious now, especially with the Elantris one, what they did with that.
Yeah.
Since you've read some of both, do you find his writing is, or how do you find his writing is different with the short stories compared to his longer form novels?
You know what? He's brilliant as always.
Okay.
I have found his short stories and novellas to be just as good as his long form novels.
Well, I'm going shopping. No,
Yeah,
no, that's awesome because some authors, it's hard to get that translation right
yeah,
in that shorter page count. So it's good to hear.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And he's got some nice standalone editions of quite a few of the short stories now. I think The Emperor's Soul has a really nice standalone edition.
Oh, neat.
With with the special dragon steel logo on the front of it. You know, it has.
Yeah, I've seen
Um,
those. I think I've seen
but
Edge Dancer or something like that. Edge
yeah, Edge
Dancer.
Dancer is
Yeah.
one, uh, and then um, Dawn Shard is also
Yes.
really good.
Yeah, but see,
Yeah.
those ones are spoilers, so I can't get to those yet.
Right, exactly. Oh, yeah, so you haven't read all of the Stormlight Archive yet. Okay.
I started, Words of Radiance, and I ran
Mhm.
into a hiccup with the audiobook, so at
Oh,
this
that's
point, I think I'm gonna
right.
start over. I think I'm just gonna give up and start over.
Maybe. So, yeah, that's 2.
Yeah,
I only read Elantris, but liked it a lot, and a short
nice.
story. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Well, yeah, you've got lots of Sanderson to explore.
Yeah, he's, doesn't seem like he's stopping anytime soon, so more to
Yeah,
come as well.
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, come 2024, the first arc of Stormlight Archive will be complete, so
Yeah.
and then, from what I hear, the second arc of Stormlight will be about a 10-year time jump, so
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
with new characters and everything, so I
Oh,
think books 1 through 5 complete a full story arc, from what I've
okay.
understood. Yeah.
Alright, I think yeah, that's good to know because I know well, I mean, I'm sure some people are gonna get a bit of a jolt between the arcs then.
Mhm.
Yeah, but, that's kind of nice, you don't have to read all 10 books to finish one story.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is nice. What are some more obscure authors that you found that you've ended up, like, looking into their backlog and stuff?
One was Aaron S. Jones.
Okay.
He wrote this one here, Flames of Rebellion,
Right. I see
and,
that cover, I'm like, "Wow, that's an amazing cover."
right? That's the, 2nd edition covers, he had them redone, and, Memories of Blood and Shadow. I actually found him when he did an ARC call out for Memories of Blood and Shadow earlier in the year,
Mhm.
and this was around the same time when I realized I can request ARCs. That's really
Mhm.
cool. So I submitted one and I ended up getting it. I didn't know what to expect, and I'm like, "Yep, I need to read everything this person's written."
That's cool.
Yeah. Um, I even had him on for an interview, and that was awesome too, so, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I haven't gotten to watch it yet, but
Oh, yeah, no worries. I
yeah.
mean, interviews are one of those things for me where usually people watch them if they've heard of the author and they want to know
Mhm.
more before jumping in, or they've read everything the author's written and are, you know, fanning out. Like,
Right.
they're nerding out. But, yeah, that's one, and, along that same line, I would if I could, but Nomads of the Sea by Kobe Zucker. That's
Mhm.
another one. That was their debut, and I'm anxiously awaiting book 2.
Nice, that's cool.
Yeah. How about you? Did you find any?
Well, Michael R. Fletcher, for one, I definitely want to
Hmm.
read his backlog. Um, I read, Beyond Redemption way back in the day before he became super popular, and absolutely loved it. But I haven't read any more of his for whatever reason. So
Yeah.
I do want to read more of his, and I want to get into Rob J. Hayes as well. I haven't read any of his
Yeah.
stuff, so
It's so
yeah.
good.
Oh, I have no doubt. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Jesse Teller has some really great books as well. I've read several of his, but I haven't read his whole backlog. He's written like 15 books, maybe,
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a lot to catch
or
up
more
on.
than that. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, so many good ones, and it's hard to find the time for them all, right?
Well, yeah, especially when you're, watching BookTube yourself and then going, "Well, now I need to add that to the list."
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
hey.
that's the tough one. Yeah. How long is your watch list?
Yeah, to me, that's the "we don't talk about Bruno" rules. We don't talk about how long my TBR is.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yep. TBRs and YouTube watch lists. It's off the
yep.
off subject.
Yep. No, we don't go there. Just
Yeah.
know that I'll get to it.
Right. Yep. Same here.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Um, I think because I remember one video you talked about too, you were looking to read, I always mispronounce this, Thich Nhat Hanh's
Oh,
book.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I have that one too. I was looking forward to reading that this year after, I had read, was it Creating True Peace? After reading that
Mhm.
one, I'm like, "Yeah, hands down, I need to read more of this." Because
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. Have you
Yeah.
gotten
I haven't gotten to read it yet. I have it on my Audible list.
Nice.
I did purchase it, but I haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah.
But the last book I listened to of his was fantastic, and I've heard that the Heart of the Buddha's teaching is the pinnacle of books that are must reads by him.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's exciting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I really liked Thich Nhat Hanh. I've watched
Mhm.
several videos where he's been interviewed and spoken, and
Oh, wow.
so much of what he said just resonated with me. And
Yeah.
I was so bummed when he passed away because um, I had read quite a few of the announcements several years ago when he had had a major stroke. And
Mm.
then, so I wasn't surprised to hear that he had passed away, but I was saddened nonetheless. Yeah,
Well, yeah, of
he seemed like
course.
a wonderful man.
Yeah, it's sad when a light goes out, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I go
lot
ahead.
of lot of history there too for him
Mhm.
with everything that happened in Tiananmen Square and just being exiled from his country and yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
really a lot of stories in that um, in that part of history.
Yeah, and it's one thing I like about his books and the message that he conveys is how he handled it,
Hmm.
whether it was good or bad, how he handled it. Because
Hmm.
I think, when you're looking at Buddhism in general and people are like, "Oh, yeah, they're just very peaceful people and they're totally, at one with everything that's going on. They're not really gonna get too ruffled. Like their feathers aren't gonna get ruffled too much with situations." But then you read his books, you're
Hmm.
like, "No, he's struggled. He's
He did.
struggled and he's not afraid to tell you."
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely did. So eventually, I want to. As you
Yeah.
can see, we've got a third person on
Hi.
the on the stream here. Hello, Ari. Ari has joined us for the stream.
You gotta keep
Uh,
that lap warm.
that's right, exactly. Oh, okay, she's gonna get up now.
No,
Uh,
failed.
yeah, that was she stepped on the keyboard and it popped up one of the comments here.
She's helping.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have
Yeah,
any pets?
I do. We have one cat named Pepper. She's mischievous and locked out of the room because otherwise she'd be knocking the camera over.
Right.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
yeah. It basically anytime I come to the room where I record, she's right at the tripod knocking it over. So I have to leave the camera somewhere else because otherwise it'd be broken 10 times over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I get that. So far, Ari's pretty good about not getting into too much stuff when I'm filming or
Well, that's
things
good.
like that.
That
Yeah,
is very lucky
yeah.
because mine, I have to shoo and, "What are you doing?" And the camera's jittering and she's chasing something, I don't even know what.
Yeah.
And you think she would have calmed down by now, she's getting older, but no,
Yeah.
still like a kitten.
How old is she?
I think now she's getting close to 10 years old.
Oh, wow, yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Ari's age.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yep, she's about 10 years old. We
Nice.
got her from a neighbor who, was moving out, and they couldn't take her to their new place, so I don't know
Right.
exactly how old she is, but
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
thereabouts.
thereabouts, exactly.
Yeah, that's sweet.
I
I'm
think
glad
this
you
is
were able
where.
to take her.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, she's been a light in our household. She really has.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I think this is regarding Sanderson. His long fantasy is a bit longer than I tend to go for.
Mm,
Need to be in a place to have the time and willpower. Yeah, I get that
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Oh, audiobook hiccups on CD. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I can
oh,
imagine.
it was on shuffle. Oh no.
Yeah, that's not good. Wow.
No. That's the ultimate hiccup right there.
Right.
Yeah, that would be, really confusing, and my hiccup wasn't quite like that. It was more of I wasn't retaining anything one of the narrators was saying, so half of what I read is just in the void.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Books and cats, that's life. Yes, indeed.
yeah.
I agree.
Just need a blanket in there with a hot drink, we're good.
Exactly. Um,
Yeah.
have you um do you like to read books that involve both books and cats?
I do. I actually have a few on my we don't talk about TBR, and,
Okay.
it's just I think what, like, prevents me from reading those books you're talking about themed books, right? About cats or just the cat laying on me while I'm reading? I should
Well,
clarify.
oh no, yeah, like books that have cats in them or
Yeah.
feature
Okay.
cats heavily. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I enjoy them. There's one that I wanna get to, which is a translated work from Japan. I think it's called I The Traveling Cat, something like that.
Oh, interesting. I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, and it's from the cat's perspective.
Oh,
Weirdly
that's funny.
enough, I found it off of PewDiePie's channel.
Really? Oh, wow,
Yes.
that is different.
Yeah, he was doing, he did, like, 5 book-related videos. He reads a lot too, so that was one of the ones he recommended, and, yeah, so I wanted to read that one. It's from the cat's perspective, and, cat travels around town and meets all these different people, and sounded quaint, I guess.
Oh, wow, that's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
that does. That definitely that sounds like something I might enjoy.
Yeah, I think the thing that would be tricky is, the translation from a Japanese culture because things are done very differently there, right? And,
Mhm,
he even talked about how it was a bit of, culture shock in trying to understand some of the social interactions that was
mhm.
going on. So, that'll be interesting too.
Yeah, definitely. That's
Yeah.
cool. Um, have you ever read, um, The Aeronaut's Windlass by Jim Butcher?
No, I haven't. Is that Jim Butcher? That's Dresden?
Yeah, he's the
Okay.
Dresden Files writer. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, is
Yeah,
that
so
oh, go ahead.
the Cinder Spires series is his steampunk series. He only has one book
Okay.
in it so far because he's been focusing on Dresden, but The
Yeah.
Aeronaut's Windlass is book one, and it's excellent. So
Okay.
if you like airships and steampunk,
Okay.
um, and and people who can talk to cats, yeah. So there's um, one of the animal companions in that book is the leader of a gang of cats. His
Oh,
name's
cool.
his name's Raoul, and there's one of the human characters in the story that can talk to the cats, that can kind of
Oh,
speak their language and understand what they're saying. And
neat.
it is, yeah, it's really cute. And actually, uh, everybody talks about um, the best animal companion being Oi from the Dark Tower, which I'm not sure
Okay.
if you read yet.
I haven't.
Yeah,
So,
so
yeah.
I won't spoil it,
Okay.
but Raoul is almost my favorite animal companion, even more than Oi. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
That's good to know. I'm gonna put the steampunk down because I actually didn't know about that. Every time I hear about Butcher, it's always the Dresden Files. So,
Hmm.
I didn't know he wrote anything else.
Yeah, yeah. He's got
Yeah.
another series too, Furies of Calderon.
Oh, okay.
That
Okay.
yeah, it's more of a it's more of an epic fantasy series,
Oh,
not
okay.
instead of urban fantasy. So
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet, but I've heard it's good. So
Okay. See, this is the problem with BookTube and Book Friends is
right.
that every time you turn around, there's more books. There's more books. Doesn't matter how much you read, there's always gonna be more.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but BookTube ruins your TBR. It really does.
Oh,
It's
yeah. Ruins your social life, it ruins your
yeah,
TBR. Yeah. Just
and we
become
still love it.
yes, we turn into Gollum, but, with
Yeah,
books instead of the ring.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Yeah,
Yep.
yep, yep. Feel your pain there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oi
Yeah.
is awesome. The cat from the Buzz Lightyear movie. Okay, yeah, I haven't seen the Buzz
Okay.
Lightyear movie yet.
Me
Oh, he
neither.
reminds you of Raoul. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, see, I actually I well, it goes along that line. I read so much, but then there's so many other series that I haven't started because they're just not quite the genres that I would typically read. So,
Mhm,
like, The Dark Tower and Dresden Files, just because I'm not a huge fan of urban fantasy
mhm,
or, Flintlock fantasy either. Not a huge
mhm.
fan of it. So, I haven't started them, but every time I turn around, someone's talking about them and how good they are,
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Ah, do I try and then put all these ones off that I'm really eager for?" Or, you know,
right.
it's a ever continuous battle.
Well, since you like audiobooks, the Dresden audiobooks are fantastic if you ever wanna try
Okay.
one, and they're really short too. Each
Okay.
Dresden book, or at least the early Dresden books, are like, right around 400 pages each.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
that's doable.
but, I don't know, are you a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Okay, well, yes.
So,
Yeah, yeah, so
so Spike, the guy who plays Spike,
yeah,
does the narration for all the Dresden books.
sold.
Yeah,
Immediately sold.
James Marsters is fantastic.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. All right. You've sold me on this.
yeah. Yeah,
I'm
'cause
gonna have to
he's one of my favorite characters in Buffy,
yeah.
and he's just a great actor in general. I've seen him in a lot of other stuff as well, and, I cannot imagine Harry Dresden outside of James Marsters' voice. It's just so
Okay.
iconic. So, yeah,
Alright, that's a good tip. I'll definitely look into that then. There goes my TBR. That's
right.
yeah, because I grew up watching Buffy the Vampire and then Angel afterward
Yep.
because they did the
Mhm.
Angel spinoff.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm still working through it. I got up to season 4 of Buffy, and then
Mm.
I started alternating between the 2 series since they kind of cross over and everything.
Right, yeah.
So I started, and I haven't finished it yet, but I'm slowly working through it, and I absolutely love it. It's
Yeah.
campy, it's cheeky, and it's so
Yep.
much fun.
Exactly, it's
Yeah,
just good fun.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Spike is by far one of my favorite characters in that series. So,
Yeah, yeah, there's, the one thing I like more with Angel than Buffy is
mhm,
the back and forth between Angel and Spike. You get a lot
mhm.
more of it, and it's so
Oh
much
yeah,
fun.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, as a 33-year-old, I'm not sure how I
yeah.
originally missed the show. Yeah, yeah, I know. I'm in my 40s, and I just came to it not too long ago.
I mean, to be fair, when I started watching Buffy, I probably shouldn't have watched it at the age that I did, but mom had it on the TV, and,
Yeah,
you watch it.
yeah, right.
Your toys are in the room, you're gonna watch Buffy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I watched
Well,
it probably yeah. I didn't understand everything, and I definitely had to rewatch some episodes, but
yeah,
yeah.
that's cool. Well, and the Dresden Files, feel very much they have very a similar vibe to Buffy.
Okay.
So it's they start out very much monster of the week, and
Right. Okay.
here's who we're
Episodic.
fighting this week. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't think I'd mind that very much then. It's
mhm,
I don't know, it's just the urban fantasies that it feels
mhm.
too real sometimes, you know?
I
Like, you
can
just want to
understand
escape.
that. Yeah.
I wanna go to a medieval castle where it's complete different
Yes.
problems than I have to deal with.
Yeah.
Someone else's issues from another time.
Right. Yeah, those are still definitely my most favorite types of stories, is where I get that complete escape from my world, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, sometimes you just need to walk away.
yeah, yeah, for sure. What do you do for work?
I'm actually at home with my child, so,
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, I'm a stay-at-home
that's a
mom.
job.
It
Don't
is
discount
no, it is a job.
it.
Not necessarily paid, but
Yeah, right.
it is a job. Um, but yeah, we were lucky enough to be in that position. So, until he's ready to go off to the next stage,
Mhm.
that's where I'm at.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is really nice if you can be at home with your child,
Yes.
and just it just means you need more opportunities to escape oftentimes. And
Exactly.
okay, he's in bed. I'm going to escape to Stormlight World or whatever, you know.
Yep. I'm heading into the Cosmere, don't talk to me.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's more about, getting the time with him, right?
Mhm.
You don't get that time back, and if you
Exactly.
can do
Yep.
it, why not?
Mhm.
Before that, though, was a lot of administration, talking to people on phones,
Okay,
paperwork.
yeah.
Yeah. It was a interesting environment because I considered it customer service,
Uh-huh.
but that's not what my job was. Basically, it was like a not-for-profit with a member base.
Okay, yeah.
So you were talking with the members all day and like what they could apply for and what they got out of their memberships and all that stuff. But like we got negotiation training to talk to our members, not customer service training,
Yeah.
negotiation training.
Interesting.
Yeah. You kind of it was an interesting line. You know, we're not dealing with customers who get everything they want. You're getting negotiation training so that you can say these are the rules. This is what you get, this is what you don't get, and kind of rinse and repeat until they finally cave, and if they don't cave, then manager, you know?
Right.
Yeah, what about you?
I I've been in call centers for the last 8 years,
Oh,
and
yeah.
well, let's see. No, so I work in insurance, so
Okay.
I was with one company for 5.5 years, and I've currently been with my current company 4 years. So yeah, I
Yeah.
get 9.5 years. But now I do chat support, so I'm not on the phones anymore, thank God.
Nice.
Oh,
Oh,
that
yeah.
I would not you couldn't pay me enough to go back to the phones, honestly.
Yep,
Yep.
the same. You can't pay me enough to go back to deal with them. Phone's ringing off the hook, people angry with you for no reason. Well, I mean, there's a
Yeah,
reason, but not at you.
right, exactly.
Well, that's nice that you have that option. The company has that option now because
Yeah,
that's not very popular, or it wasn't anyway when I was working.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten better, and I think a lot of companies are starting to realize the benefit of having a chat option.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's been really good, and it gets me away from the phones, so, um
Yes.
call center jobs are easy to get. That's a big benefit,
Yeah.
but, it drains you fast.
Yeah, well, I imagine there's high turnover,
Oh,
get
yeah.
burnt out all the time. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had that issue. Well, like I worked for not a call center, but a smaller company, and it was just constant. Because on top of all of that, I had a team that I had to look after. other people to coordinate with, documents to find because they still tracked everything in paper at the time.
Oh, wow.
And then we had to do a whole conversion. They're like, "Oh no, we're gonna go digital and save all this money." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's like thousands of papers to now transfer over from like
Yeah.
50 years." So great.
Wow.
Yeah, it was brutal. But I feel your pain with the calls. I've had to deal with some not so nice people.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's something that I really wouldn't want to do again. I mean, I would if I absolutely had to, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess they could pay me enough technically, but as the saying goes, you couldn't pay me enough to go back to that. But
Yeah.
when you have to have income, it's
Well, of course,
one of those things. But
you you need to do what you need to do, but at the same time, you don't wanna do it.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe one of these days we'll become YouTube famous, right?
Fingers crossed.
Right. Probably not a PewDiePie. I don't think I would
Yeah.
want to be that famous.
No, I even thinking, like, uh, I know people talk about that 1,000 mark, right?
Yeah,
Like, do I even want that? 'Cause
right,
you start getting in those crowds of people who are like, "Well, I'm just gonna leave a nasty comment because I can leave a nasty comment. I don't like your hair." You
right.
know? Do I wanna open that floodgate? Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, the it's definitely a huge learning curve starting
Mhm.
a channel. There's so many things you never would think of.
I know.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest one for you?
Um, well, I'd have to say recording and editing. That was huge. I'd never edited video in my life, and luckily my other half had, so he helped me learn when I started out, but, learning to record in a way where your editing isn't painful,
Mm,
that's huge, and I had no idea, and when I started editing, I'm like, "I'm cutting off half words just to try and splice something together."
right,
It sounds so bad. But yeah, learning to record in a way that's gonna work for you in editing, so you're not editing for 5 hours on what turns out to be a 10-minute video.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, what was, yours?
Well, funny enough, that was mine too.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, because I
Okay.
struggled with that early on, uh, having to cut myself off at certain points to try and make it work, and
Yeah.
finally I realized that if I mess up, I can just take a long pause,
Yeah.
keep the same hand motion and everything, just kind of freeze, and then say it again. That way I've got that block that I can just cut out in editing. And
Yes. Editing magic.
yeah, but yeah, it definitely took a while to get the hang of that. So
Yeah.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, I don't often do a long pause. I do, snaps so
Okay.
that I can find the audio spike on where I need to cut.
Oh, hey, that's a great idea. I
Yeah,
hadn't
so
thought about that.
I try and keep the pose, but yeah, I'll snap so that you see when you see that spike, you're like, "Oh, I messed up there. I gotta go in and snip it."
Right,
Yeah, as opposed to trying to sort through 2 hours of footage.
right. Oh, wow, yeah, that's great. I hadn't even thought about that. I'm gonna have to try
Yeah.
that. Thank you, Kayla.
Yeah, for sure. I thank you, Google.
Oh, got that off of Google. Yeah, I guess
Yes.
I guess I guess Google knows everything. So
Yeah. Well, when I started, learning to edit, that's one thing where you kinda wanna you only have so many hours. You have to be reading, you have to be tracking everything, then you
mhm,
have to put everything together and then edit. I was like, "Where can I take out some time here? What's the most effective place to remove some of these unnecessary things?" And that was one of them.
mm.
Yeah. So, I hope it helps.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, I think it should. Yeah,
Yeah.
that should help me a lot. Yeah, because that makes sense with the, uh, registering the spikes.
Mhm.
That'll be a huge help. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, then it's just a quick glance, snip,
Mhm.
tuck it over, and you're good.
Exactly. Do
Yeah.
you record with your phone?
No, I have, what is it? A Sony A6400?
Oh, yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah, that's actually what I'm using for this too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I have one of those things where I'm like, I started and I looked at my footage and the first few videos, like, no one likes going to look back at their first few videos. No
Right.
one. But when I was doing it and I was trying to figure out the setup, the equipment, and of course I knew nothing, I was like, I hate all of it. I hate how it looks. I hate how it sounds because there's a vent right above me. So everything sounded washed out. And so I was like, you know what? I'm hunkering down and I'm been sitting on doing this for 2 years. I've got the means. I'm gonna get it all done. I'm gonna get everything I
Right.
need. So
Well,
yeah,
that's good.
I I couldn't do those first few videos. I'll never watch them again. They'll stay, but I'll never watch them again.
Not gonna do them again, okay.
No. No, maybe for, like, views, maybe 5 years down the line, and people, how they go back and they react to their first videos.
Right, yeah, I've seen a few of those, yeah, Drew did one for his channel,
Oh, okay.
um, uh, several months back and, went really well, so,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
and
Yeah.
he's here back with us.
Yeah.
Resident series does get better as you read further in the series, yep.
Okay, good to know.
And Pablo's here. I forgot to say hi, Pablo, but, yeah,
Hi.
he's gonna do the audio, looks like, so that's good.
Yeah.
I don't like looking at my current video.
Yeah. Right
Well, I
there with
like your videos, Scott, so you're doing something right.
Yeah. Everyone else is enjoying it. It's just when you have to watch yourself and listen to yourself,
Yeah. Yeah,
brutal.
it's rough. I do all my filming and all my editing on my phone.
Oh, no, that's so
Yeah.
painful.
It
It
actually works out okay for me.
Okay,
Yeah, I
okay.
don't mind it. I I wouldn't mind to have a camera someday, but I just figured,
Yeah.
my channel is so small that I can't really, if I had the money to do it, that's one thing. But
Yeah.
like right now, I figure, well, I'm gonna set that money aside and just, once my channel gets bigger, I might get a camera. But for now,
Yeah.
I have the iPhone 12 Pro and the camera is great for it, so
Nice.
I can't complain. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I say it's painful for me is because I can't even put an Instagram story together.
Oh,
Like, I I can't imagine trying to edit on my phone.
I get that. I'm not great at Instagram in
Yeah.
general, so, Instagram has been a huge learning curve for me.
I've given up,
Yeah,
personally. I get people tag me in these stories, and it's like, "Fill out these questions and tag some people." I will
right,
sit there for 20 minutes trying to figure out how to fricking do it, and then I give up because
right.
I can't figure it out. I want to participate, but it makes me feel old. Just
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep, I
mm,
feel your pain. I do. I've learned some stuff and gotten better with it, but it's
yeah,
and Instagram is always changing quite a bit too, so it's kinda hard to keep
yeah,
up with it, but
and that's another thing, I don't keep up with trends. I don't keep like, even, the Rings of Power
yeah,
show. Have not I don't haven't started it. I don't intend to start it until at least, like, a season is done, you know?
yeah,
So, I'm already off the bandwagon. I know things are happening, but totally missed that trend.
yeah. I enjoy it so far, and of course, I did make just a video on the first couple of episodes, but I'm not gonna say any more about it until
Mm,
I finish the series, and I haven't even done a video for, House of the Dragon, but
okay, yeah.
I will once it's finished, and, I'm loving House of the Dragon, so
Okay.
mhm.
Interesting. How do you can I mean, I don't know what's spoilers and what's not, but, um, how do you find it compared to Game of Thrones?
Uh, it is, uh, it is so much better than the last 2 or 3 seasons of Game of Thrones,
Okay.
and it's right up there on par with the first few seasons of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Uh, it it feels like they took the best of Game of Thrones and applied it to this show. I
Okay.
think it's done a very good job. So, which I wasn't really skeptical about because HBO usually puts out a lot of quality stuff.
Yeah.
The and I'm one of the few people that still enjoys all of Game of Thrones,
Mm. Okay.
even though the last couple of seasons weren't the best. I still enjoyed the entire series overall, but I wasn't worried going into House of the Dragon. I had a feeling it would be really good. I was not so much that way for Lord of the Rings, just because Amazon's track record has been very hit or miss.
Yeah.
Somebody
Okay.
mentioned the Wheel of Time here. Yeah, I'm anonymous. Wheel of
Yeah.
Time has left me deciding to wait and see. Yeah, I was not, and that's a series I DNF'd actually. I DNF'd the Wheel of Time temporarily.
Okay.
I,
Okay.
I might go
Yeah.
back to it, so I shelved it.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
I might go back to it at some point. But I did watch the first season of Wheel of Time, and I'm like, what is this? That was my reaction to it. Now,
Oh,
some people
no.
really liked it, and
Yeah.
a lot of hardcore Wheel of Time fans have given it decent marks. But I was
Right.
just like, well, it was entertaining, and I might watch the second season. But um, yeah,
Yeah.
Amazon's pretty hit or miss. Good Omens was brilliant.
Okay.
So that I knew that they did great with Good Omens, and they didn't do so hot with Wheel of Time. So I knew it was a 50-50 shot.
Right. Well, that's fair.
So
Yeah, I'm the type of person where I wait because this goes back to the hype train. I will wait
mhm,
and hear what everyone thinks before I
mhm,
dive in because you get the 50/50s or you get the, maybe the ending that most people didn't like.
mhm.
Um, but it's nice to hear it starting off strong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I feel like it is for sure.
Yeah.
Um, Drew says I have filmed videos for House of the Dragon and Rings of Power, but not sure I'm happy with them. Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
That's hard.
Okay. Yeah, that is hard. I've filmed a
Yeah.
few videos where I'm like,
Yeah.
got thinking about it a day later or two. I'm like, I think I'm just gonna delete that.
Yeah.
Not gonna use it.
That's happened to
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, I agree, Drew. Lukewarm on Wheel of Time is an adaptation. Yep.
Yeah, it's tricky because you have to make it entertaining for new audiences,
Yeah.
and you have to strip out a lot of the, boring travel or boring politics that people don't really care about. They want action, they want quick plot lines, they want
Mhm.
things happening right now. So you're kind of stuck trying to make two different groups of people very happy.
Exactly. That's very true. Love Good Omens, but that was more the actors. Yeah, the actors
Mm,
are fantastic for Good Omens, but I've been a fan of the book and everything. So,
mm.
and the adaptation was almost exactly like the book. I think they did a really great job. My daughter and I recently, so I've watched Good Omens twice. My kids
Okay.
have watched it 3 times.
Wow.
And my daughter and I just got done listening to the new uh, dra- uh, the full cast dramatization
Oh,
of
wow.
Good Omens that was recently released last year.
Okay.
And so she and I are going to be doing a video all about Good Omens here coming up soon. So
Ah, that's
so
awesome.
we're huge fans of Good Omens, and she and I have pop vinyls and everything. We're like uber fans, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the second season because they're doing another season. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I tried to read the book
uh-huh.
and, um, I started with the audiobook, and that was a huge mistake. because I had to listen to the first 2 hours over again. I think I had to redo it 3 times because I was so confused.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting or used to the shifts, the quick shifts
Mhm.
between perspectives, and that threw me off in the audiobook because normally there's something to say, "Hey, we're changing what part of the
Mhm.
story we're looking at now." And so just the quick jumps got me. I couldn't do it. I think I actually have to sit down and physically read that one.
I can understand that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You might enjoy the new audio dramatization.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it
Okay.
it is a full, it is a full audiobook of the book, but it's,
Okay.
you know, it's just it's got a full cast, kinda like they did with The Sandman, and,
Right.
David Tennant reprises his role as Crowley, uh,
Nice.
and so does, Keen no, Michael Sheen. Yeah, he
Okay.
reprises his role as Aziraphale as well, so,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
yeah, it's really, really well done.
Okay.
So
Although
but
is
the book is great, so
Yeah, see, I heard great things, and I love Neil Gaiman,
mhm.
but I just for whatever reason, that one after, like, I don't know, 3 tries, 6 hours later, and I'm only 2 hours into the book, it's like, I can't I don't even know what's happening.
Mhm.
I can't keep going like this. Is it on Audible?
It is. Yep,
Oh,
yep,
okay.
it's on Audible. Yep.
Alright, I'll take a look for that after then.
Yeah, yeah, it's really quite good. Um, what time that is. Oh, okay, it's a fantasy TV show, yeah, so he really likes,
Oh, okay.
uh, Wheel of Time is a fantasy TV show. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's decent if you divorce it from the book, as a standalone
Right.
adaptation, it's good. Um, looks like, Scott films and edits on his phone as well.
Yeah.
Yep, saves a ton of time and effort,
Yeah.
that's true, it really does.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what saves you time, that's fantastic. I would be sitting there for you'd get maybe 1 video a month from me if I did that.
I get it, yeah,
Yeah.
for some people, it's easier to just
Mm.
transfer it to a computer and work on it there. You get it on a bigger screen that way too, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah, so it definitely helps. I was gonna say, for, like, all the TV shows that keep coming out, I know I wait for after the hype, but I'm still the boring friend because I don't watch them, and then everyone's talking about it, I'm sitting there going like, "Okay, yeah, that sounds good." That's "Oh, I'm sorry." You know, like, I'll watch it in the next 10 years, you know, and then by then there'll
Right.
be a new adaptation.
Right, yeah. It seems like it, yeah, seems like
Yeah.
eventually they, they readapt it and do something different.
Yeah, like, I still need to finish I think it was season 2 of His Dark Materials.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
watched
been a
season 1.
really good adaptation, I've been very impressed with it.
Yeah, same. I think partly the reason why I stopped watching a lot of TV and movies was because were not like, they were all the same. The production quality, they were all aiming for the same goal, and it just got boring over time.
Mhm.
Um, but His Dark Materials, I love what they did with that.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the original movie that they made of, The Golden Compass?
I did, I watched that when I was younger, actually, and this was so much better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because if you watch the Golden Compass movie, I mean, I did,
yeah,
when I did, I was confused. I didn't understand the bigger plot line because they don't
yeah,
really make it clear, they're just like, "Okay, here's the compass,
yeah.
go off on an adventure," right? But
Mhm.
in the actual TV show, they break everything down, they explain all of it,
Yeah,
um, and they do it in a way where you're not bored, you're still engaged with the characters, you're still engaged in the situations, it's not info dumped,
right.
at least I found,
Mhm.
but the visuals, they they just gave someone an empty checkbook and said, "Go for it."
Right. Yeah, yeah, it really has turned out good, and I was that way with the movie as well.
Mm.
I didn't really enjoy the movie, and they changed so many things from the books too
Yeah.
for the movie that that they've kept for the most part in the books, or in the show. They've stayed pretty faithful to the books.
They
So,
have, yeah, but and I think they were able to use the visuals in a way to make it like they grade that line between YA and adult, right? They were able to do that with the visuals, and I mean, the books do that, but I definitely feel like the books are more YA than the
hmm
TV show. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, they definitely have stepped it up a bit in terms of making it appeal to a wider audience. Yeah, because
Yeah.
the books are very definitely more YA.
Yeah.
Although, um, although for a YA book, the language level is quite high,
Yeah.
and I think that might be partly because coming from a British writer, uh,
Yeah, just
the
different, experiences in writing, right? And different
hmm
expectations, I guess, in reading grades.
right.
Yeah. But, I mean, there's still dark content in the book
Oh
too.
yeah, yeah, there
Um,
definitely is.
it just doesn't hit as hard as the show.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. I think I've enjoyed the show a little bit more than the books actually.
Yeah,
Uh,
same.
have you read any of his prequels? Like the Book of Dust.
I read, it was a I don't know if it was well, I can no, it's a prequel. Up in the North, I think it is.
Okay.
It's the basically how Burnison met, I can't remember his name, the gunslinger, the airship nomad.
Oh yeah, I know
Yeah.
who you're talking about. I can't think of his name right offhand, but yeah.
Yeah, basically how they met.
Okay.
So, it was just a short little story, but that it was really good, I liked it.
Okay.
Um, I think I'd like to read the other ones as well, but I should probably look up the reading order because I didn't for that one, it was just available from my library.
Right.
I was like, "Click that."
Well, I know the Book of Dust is the first book in his prequel series, and then he has another one that came out as well, but I can't remember the name of it.
There's a
So,
few from what I've seen. Yeah.
hmm
I think there's maybe 3 or 4
hmm
because every time I look them up, there's the list is longer than I expected.
right. Yeah.
Did you end up reading The Book of Dust?
I haven't yet. No,
Okay.
I've wanted to. It just hasn't been high on my priority list,
Yeah.
but I've heard it's good.
Okay.
If they
Yeah.
decided to make if they decided to make a prequel series on HBO, I would probably go and read the books
Right. Okay. Yeah.
so that I'd know what's going on. But
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I kinda like getting background to characters that you come to love,
yeah,
right? Because
hmm
they do leave some of that to mystery in the books.
they do.
Like,
Yeah.
they hint towards these things, and they're like, "Oh, too bad." We're not gonna explain everything to you. You're not a child. You
hmm
don't need to get everyone's history, but the prequels are nice for that. It just makes you love the characters even more or hate them, depending.
hmm Yeah, that's
Yeah.
for sure. I don't know why, but I always seem to struggle making videos reviewing TV shows adapted from books. Maybe we can do a live stream talking about it. Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. That would be a lot of fun. We got some other tips on editing here. Works so
Yeah,
well for
that's
me.
awesome.
Okay. Yeah, I used to use iMovie.
Okay.
Yeah, I broke down and bought a program called LumaFusion.
Oh, neat.
It was $20, but seems like a lot to spend for a iPhone
Mm.
app, but
Yeah.
it was one of the best purchases I've ever made. It was well worth it. It's paid me back in gold.
Yes.
Because
What you want
it's
is time.
yeah, it's very very user friendly. So
That's awesome.
power directed. Yeah, that's another one I've heard about. Yeah. Oh, lots of copyright free music tracks. Well, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a whole learning curve making videos.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say your music choices are on point. I really we talked a little bit about the
Yeah.
lo-fi music that you used in your shelf reorganization video.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that was really good. So yeah.
Um, I'm glad 'cause, when I was picking the music, I'm like, "Ah, no one ever really likes the music I pick. This is why I don't really use music in my videos." But this one was there was no talking, and I don't want dead air, so
Right.
I'm glad that that worked because lo-fi is just one of those like, you just pop it on background.
Hmm.
Do whatever you're doing, it's like you're in a coffee shop, but better.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I really liked it. So you did it good there.
Yeah, courtesy of Toon Tank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to check them out. The only music
Yeah.
I've ever used is the royalty free stuff from YouTube.
Okay, yeah.
So the YouTube audio library, I think it's called. So,
Okay. Yeah.
but I haven't used anything else besides that. So,
Yeah, I'm still new to all that, so I found Toon Tank off of, Google,
hmm.
probably? I don't even remember. But, yeah, and it's just you can buy some of the tracks or y
Hmm.
most of them you can just download and, they're copyright free and everything like that.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, good
yeah,
to know.
yeah, I think it's tricky when you have to learn those rules, right? You hear
Yeah,
about other people talking about them, and then you have to learn them, and you're like, "Oh god, am I doing this right?"
right. Yeah. Yeah, because just one mistake and it could get you flagged on YouTube, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
no, no
I'm
flags,
I swear I didn't do anything wrong, I didn't mean to.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, have a good night.
Have a good night, thanks for
Have
stopping
fun
in.
getting the your daughter to bed.
Yes, good luck.
Um, do you have any other hobbies that you're into besides reading and
Y
YouTube?
yeah, too many. Yeah. It's where all my I don't know how I have any kind of free time, but, I play violin,
Oh,
ukulele, I
nice.
knit, crochet, um, yeah, and cooking, that's kind of a standard at this point,
Yeah.
but yeah. I like
Did
baking.
did you make the blanket on your chair there?
I did, yes. I
Yeah.
forgot that
Oh,
was
that
there, sorry.
yeah, yeah, that's cool. I like it.
Yeah,
Yay.
these ones, like crochet and knitting is nice, because you can just pop in an audiobook,
Mhm.
right, and just go,
Mhm.
go for it, and by the time you're done, you've been doubly productive. You read a book and you made a blanket.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's nice. I
yeah,
like to put on audiobooks when I'm cooking,
yeah.
and
Cleaning.
yeah, cleaning is yep,
Yep.
another one, which I need to do more of, but it's hard to find the time to get good cleaning done, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for listening to an audiobook for sure.
Yeah, yeah, so it's, I mean, I grew up with crafty you grew up with your grandma's knitting beside you, right? So,
Mhm.
grew up with that, and then the music stuff, all takes time.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
about you?
Oh, yeah, I've got too many as well. I like to play video games, but I don't get a lot of time for it, so I've kind of gotten away from it, but every
Yeah.
once in a while, I get in the mood and I'll play a video game. I did get, oh, what was that new one that came out? George R. R. Martin did the storyline for it.
Oh, was that the
Um,
Dark Souls one?
yeah, yeah,
Elder Scrolls?
yeah, it's by the same company that did Dark Souls,
Oh,
from Soft Games, but I can't. Let's see. Trying to remember what it was called, but yeah, they did a lot of different games that are extremely difficult.
yes,
Um,
as they would.
yeah, Elden Ring, that was the
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
Elden Ring.
and oh my goodness, that game is so difficult, and
Yeah,
visually it's amazing, and the story that George R. R. Martin put together for it is
yeah,
fantastic, but I just don't have a lot of time to play it right now, so
yeah, and that's the kinda game you devote your life to,
pretty much,
basically.
yeah, yeah, and that's, Brandon Sanderson has, I don't know if you know he has a YouTube channel,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, so he's posted a lot of videos of himself
Oh,
uh,
has he?
playing Elden Ring on his channel,
Yeah,
and, that's, like, the only video game he plays,
right,
um, so it used to be the only game he ever played was Magic: The Gathering,
right, okay.
and then he got Elden Ring and started playing that for his one video game that he plays,
Okay.
because he doesn't have time for anything else, and
Yeah, yeah, with
so,
how many books he's writing.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
I watched a lot of the gameplay for that one, actually.
oh, okay,
'Cause
that's cool.
yeah, I more like watching other people play the games than playing
Mhm.
it myself because I'm the type of video game player where I hit my first hurdle and I'm like, "Well, that's it. I'm not getting any farther. I'm done. I failed." So I like watching other people go through it because I like the stories, but
Mhm.
I can't sit through the mechanics. They're just maddening with how difficult they are.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they are. I don't regret purchasing it, but I'm just gonna have to find a chunk of time to sit down and actually play it. But,
Yeah.
a lot of times, though, I'm more inclined to play a board game.
Oh, okay. Any
Yeah.
in particular?
Um, well, one of my favorites is, Splendor.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a deck building slash, you know, oh, you just have to rack up a certain amount of points to win the game, and you do that by collecting cards and building it into your deck and
Okay, like a deck
playing
building game,
yeah,
yeah,
playing
okay.
different cards together, and I just recently played Dominion for the first time, and I absolutely fell in love with it.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, so, so that's another one, but I've got a big board game collection.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
Last year, I participated in the Kickstarter for the Castles of Mad King Ludwig,
Oh.
collector's edition, and it finally came in the mail, in August,
Oh my
and
god.
so my daughter and I played that for the first time the other day. I never played it before, but I saw the Kickstarter and I watched some videos about it. I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." So,
Yeah, okay.
uh,
I think I would, forget I bought that if I had to wait that long.
yeah. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Kickstarters do take quite a bit of time to fulfill, but
Yeah.
it was worth it. It's a really nice collector's edition.
Well, that's awesome, and they only ever do that, right? Like, they don't continue to produce them after that, usually, is from what I
Right,
yeah,
right, exactly, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, once whatever stock they have is sold out, it's gone, so
Yeah. Yeah, I don't play too many board games just because there's not many people to play with,
right.
especially with COVID, taking that down.
Yeah,
Um,
that definitely ruined it for a lot of people.
yeah, but, we used to like, I like chess, was, I guess,
Oh, I
classics,
like chess too. Yeah.
Yeah, and, what else was there? I grew up playing, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! And,
Oh, yeah, uh-huh,
yeah, I tried learning Magic: The Gathering after that, and COVID hit. There
right.
was there was no learning anymore.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
get and there's definitely more of a learning curve to Magic, I think.
Yeah, and
Um,
yeah, that
Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very similar to, um, the gaming mechanism is similar to Pokemon, right?
it's similar. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's it's kind of like the in between. So there's, like,
Mhm.
Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and then Magic. Um, but yeah, I remember when I started trying to learn Magic and I was sitting there with a friend, we were trying to figure it out and, like, build decks and going to the store and, like, trying to pick out these cards, and then I had a moment where I went, "I am retaining nothing that I am reading. I'm doing these things, I'm going through the motions, but I have no idea what I just did and if it was good."
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess it's just one of those games you have to keep playing, but yeah.
True. Yeah. My kids are really big into Pokemon, and so
Yeah.
when they first got into Pokemon, I would play with them and stuff like that, and
Nice.
uh, yeah, do some Pokemon. They're more into the Pokemon Go now on their phones, so
Yes.
but my daughter still collects Pokemon cards. Like she has several. Scyther is her favorite Pokemon,
Nice.
and she has probably 10 or 12 different Scyther cards.
Oh, wow.
Some of them are rares too that she's got.
Nice. Yeah, so that's
So
her collection there.
yeah, so she still collects them, and I never played Yu-Gi-Oh, but I watched the show with my kids, and I
Yeah.
really liked the show. So
Yeah, the show was fun, I remember watching that too. I still have all my cards from when I was a kid. I've got my Yu-Gi-Oh cards and I've got my Pokemon cards,
nice.
all the little Pokemon figurines and stuff. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's, I think card games were easier for me
Mm.
because every time I tried a board game, there was one, I think it was called Tao, where
Hmm.
you're just going on a spiritual path. There's no like
Oh.
real objective to the game aside from, you know, you want to kind of get to the end, but you want to have a journey about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that one was fun, but anything more complicated than that, my brain blanks.
Okay.
I it's just so much information that
I
you're
get it.
trying to take in, and then you're trying to play it and not mess up because
Right.
you've got like 5 people waiting on you, and you're like, um, "What was this card again? What is it my turn? Who? Like,
Yeah.
what's this piece?"
I get that way
Yeah.
too. I can
Yeah.
totally relate. So it's nice when uh, when you just get a game that's really simple, easy to learn.
Yeah.
And Dominion's like that actually. I found out it's just a deck
Okay.
building game, and it's pretty simple to learn. So
Okay. Alright, I'm
yeah.
gonna have to look at that because it's always fun to find them, and even
Hmm.
if it only takes one other player, I can do that. I've got one other player in the household.
Right.
Um, but yeah, then you get these complicated board games that have 250 pieces to them, like 300
Right.
cards plus 2 different boards. And yeah. I know there's some people who love that. I don't remember anything.
Yeah. No, I can understand that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a game called Dow.
I think so. I think that's what it's called.
Is it spelled the traditional way, like TAO, or do they
I
spell it DAO?
I think it is. I might even have their name wrong, but let me see.
I would be very curious. Just I mean, I was really intrigued when you brought that up. I'm like, oh, interesting.
If maybe I might have the name wrong. I'll double check. I have it upstairs, but I can send you a picture of it. You can
Okay,
take a look.
cool.
Because it's really nice. It's just so relaxing to play. There's no real competition. I mean, there's some
Hmm.
competition if you really want to be that kind of player. But really, it's just like you can go this way or you can go that way. Or if you stop here, you might have to skip opportunities, right? Which is
Hmm.
kind of how life works. But
Right.
yeah, I liked it. It was
Well,
good.
it definitely sounds very Taoist, so it's right up my
Yeah.
alley.
Yes.
It's more about the journey than the destination.
Exactly.
So,
And then you play with certain people and they're like, "Did you just did you just prevent me from getting there? I needed that spot." Complete opposite. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
did you, have any, like, other games that you liked before you got those Kickstarters? Was there anything that stood out for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've always been a fan of classic family games like
Mhm.
Scrabble,
Yes.
Yahtzee, um, what was Clue?
Yes. It
Yeah,
was
yeah, I've
fun.
always been a fan of those. I do like chess and backgammon
Yeah.
as well. Um, but yeah, I'm looking over at my shelf to jog my memory. I like Monopoly, but it takes so long to play.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a joke I saw once where it's like, "It's 2 a.m. in the morning, grandma, you win." Like, we're
Right,
done.
right. Take my money.
Yeah, I can't anymore. We would do this for 12
I'm
hours.
declaring bankruptcy.
Yeah.
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 But yeah,
Yeah.
it's I like a lot of those classic games.
Yeah.
So,
They're simple, they're easy to pick out and play with other people, most people know the basic rules.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always been a huge Uno fan.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In fact,
I
that was one game that my kids always wanted to play. I probably played that millions of times with my kids.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
nice. For me, it was Phase 10.
Okay,
It's
I've heard that one's fun. I've never
it
played
is.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You can really make someone mad.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Have you played
Um,
any of the Flux games?
no, I haven't heard of those.
Yeah, it's so there's several different versions. There's classic Flux, there's and then they've got themed decks as well. And each theme gives you a different twist to the game. But
Okay.
the whole point of the game is basically the rules are always in flux. So
Right.
you start out with one rule, but then somebody can play a card that supersedes that rule and changes the game
Oh.
altogether. And so there's a Cthulhu flux, there's Doctor Who flux,
Oh my
there's
gosh.
Batman flux.
That's awesome.
There's a whole stack of different types of flux games. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, that would be a good party night with friends and, just
Hmm.
ruin someone's day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, my kids used to really be into apples to apples.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Um, and then we recently found a game. Actually, you might enjoy this. So there's
Okay.
a game that's similar. It's similar in mechanism to apples to apples, and it's called Stupid Deaths.
Okay.
And so basically, you have to one person reads the card, and then the rest of the players have to decide whether that death was actually real or
Okay.
it, or if it was made up. So
Oh,
each card has a story of someone's stupid death,
yeah.
and you have to decide if it's real or if it's fake. And so whoever guesses it right gets to move on the board,
Oh, neat.
and whoever doesn't get it has to stay where they are, and they risk being captured by the Grim Reaper. It,
Wow.
yeah, it's a really fun and funny game, and it's really simple to learn.
That sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of, along the lines of, when you hear a really weird law, and you're like,
Hmm.
what happened to make that law?"
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
who did that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Were they in Florida?
Right. It all goes back to Florida.
Yeah. Florida man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like
Yeah.
fun. Another one that, I had played, it's another card game. It sounds terrible, but it's hilarious. It's called Kittens in a Blender.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and so it's a little card game, but you actually use the end pieces of the box,
Uh-huh.
and it's like it acts as your blender. And so you're putting
Oh.
cards down, and you want to save some kittens because it gives you points, but then other people are trying to get the kittens in a blender to get you away from the points. It's a lot of fun, but then you add the whole like concept of like the kittens in a blender, and that
Mhm.
you're laughing at it is just makes for a fun time. And you're trying to save
Okay.
the kittens.
Right. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's just
Um,
another one of those simple games you can pull out, yeah.
I haven't heard of that one. I've heard of Exploding Kittens.
Yes, I've
Uh,
heard that too, yeah.
yeah, I haven't played it, but I've heard it's really funny.
Yeah.
Just the whole like that whole prospect. I'm just like, oh, poor kids.
Yeah. That's just it, right? With the kittens in a blender. You're trying to save them from the blender, and then someone just
Right.
comes in and goes, "No.
Yeah.
Those kittens, go back."
Yeah.
There's another one too, actually. If you like the Taoist one, you might like this. The whole concept is you're making a stained glass window.
Oh, okay.
So you have a board, it has a pattern on it, and you have to follow the uh, like you have it kind of like you have to start at the corner and then into a diagonal or a straight.
Yeah.
And from there, you have to fill the stained glass, and you have like little pieces that look almost like plastic stained glass.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I played a game that's similar to that called Azul.
Oh, okay. Is that the same one I'm thinking of?
Uh, there's a few different versions of Azul,
Oh, okay.
but the one I played, it was making a mosaic.
Oh, okay. So this one is called Sagrada by
Oh, I've heard
Floodgate.
of that one. I've heard of that
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
really nice.
yeah, Azul is a lot of fun too.
Oh, okay. I'll have to
Um,
see that there. I'm gonna note that for later.
oh, okay, yeah, I see Sagrada there. Yeah, I've heard of that one. That's cool. It sounds like
Mm.
it's similar to Azul. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just pretty at the end. You're like, oh, I made a stained glass image that's unique, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, board games are nice because you get to interact with people.
Mm.
And you can with video games too, but I've never been much for playing video games online with other people.
Yeah.
I like most of the games I play are single player anyway, so
Yeah.
there's very few that are multiplayer. So
I think it definitely depends because, like, I have friends who love playing video games, and I'm the friend who loves to watch.
hmm
So I can sit next to them for hours on end, snacking and
and
conversing with them while
crocheting
they're
and
playing. Yes, exactly. I can knit up a sweater while we're while you're playing a video game. Um, so I think you just have to have like if you're having an in-person, gaming session, if you have that kind of dynamic, it works really well. But otherwise, if you're not playing multiplayer, then you're kind of one person's out, right?
hmm
And online is just no, too scary for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've never really done any playing online. My kids have, but
Mhm.
uh, not. Yeah, I haven't really ventured. I'm too old.
Well, you're not
Well, I'm
missing on
not too old, but I guess I'm never too old. But
well, I mean, like, I did the whole online gaming thing at one
mhm.
stage, and it was just so toxic. It was not worth the time.
Yeah, there's some really toxic people in those online gaming forums.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was not nice. You
yeah,
wanna come home, relax, have fun, and then
exactly.
have someone screaming in your ear,
hmm
not making any sense or saying things that are very inappropriate.
hmm
You're just like, "Well, there goes my stress-free night. Back to work in the morning."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite way to de-stress at the end of the day?
Um, oh, I think it depends. If, you're too exhausted to do anything, just booktube or mindless videos is always
Yeah.
nice. TV shows are great for that. Um, I think just the sitting in quiet and reading is nice, or sitting with nothing on
hmm
and crafting is
hmm
nice. Just silence sometimes is golden.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Are
Yeah.
you able to read when you've got music in the background, or are you
Um,
more of a quiet reader?
I'm a quiet reader mostly. I feel like if I put music on, I get distracted,
Mhm.
especially with classical music. Because I mean, all the years I've had of training with playing classical music, I'm like, "Okay, is that a fifth? No, that was a third. Yeah, is that an octave? Okay." And you're kinda going through all I just pay way too much attention to it. I'm thinking of the notes they're playing and how I would play it or yeah. too distracting. I find the same thing with videos. If I'm watching videos and they have music in the background,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to focus on what they're talking about.
Yeah. I can definitely understand that.
Yeah, it's nice though with the silence. I mean, we're constantly interacting in one way or another. So
Mhm.
having just silence to let your mind calm down is always nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Occasionally, I'll put the digital fireplace on YouTube
Yeah.
and read with that. That's not too distracting for me, but anything
Yeah.
else, I'm kinda like, "Yeah, I can't really do it."
Yeah, especially when you want to escape. You want to get
Mhm.
immersed. You wanna get away. You don't wanna be hearing, I don't know, rap music or classical music in the background.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, boy, rap music with reading, that would definitely be,
That's a
different.
that would be a test to your, attention skills for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I remember when I had my little one, I would try and test myself, be like, "Okay, can I read and function while he's awake?" The answer is absolutely no.
Right.
Even if he's sleeping, I can't because you have to be on alert, right?
Mhm. Yeah. I was the same.
Yeah,
Couldn't really. Yeah, I got very little reading done in the early years of our kids'
I believe
lives.
it. Yeah, it's hard.
Mhm.
Yeah, gotta prevent them from falling off sofas and yeah,
Yeah, that's for
breaking
sure.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably averaged maybe 3 or 4 books a year during those years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was difficult.
uh, I think what's been a big game changer for me is the audiobooks,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Because you spend a lot of when the kids are finally down for the night, you're cleaning, you're
Mhm.
prepping for the next day. I can just pop an audiobook in for the next stage and, like, unwind a little bit,
Mhm.
um, make some progress and actually read a book.
Yeah. Yeah, that is nice. Yeah, I'm sure audiobooks have definitely been a big win for that.
Yeah. I've definitely seen a difference. Before using, audiobooks, I read maybe, like, 5 books a year. I also wasn't as much of a reader, but since reading or listening to audiobooks, I'm, like, at 52, basically a book a week,
Mhm.
52 books a year, so
Ah, that's great.
huge game changer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Well, I know I guess it's about 9 PM your time, huh?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I know we've been going for a couple of hours. I usually try and not keep people too not keep you too long, past the 2-hour mark, but, if you had anything else you wanted to talk about, or if anybody else has other questions they'd like to ask Kayla, drop them in now. Otherwise, I'll let you go, escape into the rest of your night.
It's bedtime for this old lady, that's what it is.
Oh, okay, bedtime. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
getting about that time there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've always joked I'm an old lady in a young person's body because I knit, I crochet, I go to bed early, I don't like partying. I read.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same. I've never been into the party scene. Always kinda what do they call it? An old soul?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, that's kinda been me too. I can
Yeah.
relate.
Yeah. You just wanna be cozy at home, you don't
Yeah,
why
yeah,
do I have to go out and have a good time? I'm having a good time now.
right, exactly. Yeah,
Got a book.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you can have the same experience at home, read a nice book with a glass of wine or something like that, which,
Eh,
by the way, that glass of wine costs a whole lot less than it does when you go out.
yep.
And, yeah, so
Leftover
I
money can go into the book fund. you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, this has been a lot of fun, Kayla, and I'm so glad you could join me. Um, Everybody that's watching, whether you're live with us or watching the replay, make sure to subscribe to Kayla. All of her links are in the description below for her socials. And I'm just so excited for more people to check her out. So, um, yeah. And what have you got coming up, Kayla?
Well, who knows? I'm late on a few videos, but I got some wrap ups I got to do, interviews I'd like to do with some authors. But thank you so
Nice.
much for having me. This was so much fun. It was nice to sit down and chat with you, and just have a good time. And thank you so much. It's just awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. Well, we'll go ahead and end it there, guys. Make sure you read more books. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.